Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Folks, today's Thursday, August 14th, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Are Texas House Democrats ready to give up their walkout? We'll talk to several Democratic lawmakers in Texas to find out what they are prepared to do, but that seems to be the case. California Gavin Newsom, he is ready to fight Republicans, and he launches a major initiative to change the maps in California. More stupidity from Donald Trump. You know what that day is called? Any day ending in D-A-Y. Plus, remember I warned y'all about the right-wing company PragerU? Well, the Trump folks, they want to replace PBS with this right-wing extremist racist organization. Wait until we show you this video that they have that talks about Columbus discussing slaves. Oh, it's a lot to unpack. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
The fight over the racist gerrymandered maps in Texas continues. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Republicans say they will end the first special session tomorrow and immediately gavel in a second special session. Now, keep in mind, they should be focusing on flood relief in Texas because of what happened in Kirk County. Some 130 people died. Nope, that's not what's important. What's important is kissing Donald Trump's ass and giving him 5 Republican districts. They've already withdrawn the maps. Now, they have not voted on the maps in the House because 51 Texas Democrats have walked out, keeping them from having a quorum. Now, the other day, what took place in the Texas Senate? This took place. 9 Democrats walked out in Texas, but 2 remain, allowing the Republicans to actually vote and approve those maps. Now, what makes no sense to me is why in the hell did those Democrats stay? Well, 2 of them explain why they stayed, and still to this day, I don't understand why they did because it makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to read their comments in just a moment. Let me welcome a couple of folks to us. Texas Legislative Black Caucus Chair Ron Reynolds joins us. Also, State Representative Charlene Johnson. Glad to have both of you on the show. And also, we have State Representative Jolanda Jones. Let me must first talk with Caucus Chair Ron Reynolds.
Chair Emeritus.
Chair Emeritus, okay, Chair Emeritus, okay. So, y'all have been gone. Many of the folks in Illinois, some remained in Texas. They've not had a quorum. and I have been getting calls all day from folk back home in Texas. A number of state lawmakers, been talking to staff and aides, talking to civil rights leaders, religious leaders. And what I've been told is that Democrats are going to give in. They are going to return to the Capitol and allow for the Republicans to have a quorum and allow for these seats, for these districts to be changed. What is going on?
Well, Brad, it's always good to be with you. And, you know, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. And I'm happy to be joined by two of my amazing colleagues, Representative Charlene Ward Johnson and Representative Jelana Jones. The Texas Legislative Black Caucus has been 10 toes down leading this fight. When we broke quorum, our goal was to stop the first call special session, raise the alarm bells to make sure that other states like California, New York, Illinois, that if Texas passed a racial gerrymander, that we would make sure that other states did the same damn thing. We want to stop the map. The ultimate goal, though, we knew that with Governor Abbott having the ability to call special session after special session after special session, that we could only delay it so that our lawyers could be in a great position to then file injunctions in the court. And we've been working with our lawyers. I've been on the phone with Attorney Gary Bledsoe. I know Representative Jelana Jones has been communicating. We have gotten, I've been on the phone working with Derek Johnson, the national NACP president. We have LDF, the Lawyers Defense Fund, all ready to go to action if and when the maps are passed. We knew realistically that we could never kill it indefinitely because Governor Abbott could then move, because Governor Abbott could move the primary date that's scheduled for March. He could go and have that primary date move back to May, June, July, and then therefore they would have more time to pass the map.
No, because here's the problem with that. The Supreme Court has consistently said in numerous cases where maps are locked in to give the people an opportunity. In fact, when Alabama and Louisiana, when they voted on their racist maps, they voted on it, and they did that early in the year. In Louisiana, for instance, they approved their maps. This was back in 2022 or 2023. They approved their maps early in the year. It was like February. Their primaries were in August. The general election was in November. The Supreme Court, there's a legal challenge. The Supreme Court said they were locked in. That has been very consistent. So what I don't understand is if you have, now granted, Supreme Court can do whatever they want, but
that's right, Roland, you know that.
Yes, but the Supreme Court has been consistent in terms of locking maps in to give the voters an opportunity to vote properly. And so it's so if Abbott wanted to try to push it to put to May or June, well, then that meant that the primaries would be then still got a general, and based upon what the Supreme Court has done before, that would not be enough time. So what I don't that's the advice of the attorneys that are supposedly be the experts on redistricting, the constitutional attorneys. That is based on their advice. They want to be able to have the maps in time to be able to file the injunction to get adjunctive relief in the court. But here's the problem. This is what, again, I need to understand here. I'm going based upon what we saw in Alabama, what we saw in Louisiana, literally in the last 5 years. We saw this with the commissioner's race in Galveston County, where when the maps were changed, the Supreme Court says if there's enough time for there to be a lawsuit which forces them to redraw the maps, then fine. But if there's not, then they lock it in place. What I don't understand is if you wait until, let's say, December, okay, right now. So that means, let's say y'all go back, fine, on Monday. Within 30 seconds, they're gonna approve the new maps. Done. So now, Thursday, you're talking about August 18th. That now means September, October, November, December. It's more than enough time, so that means they're gonna lock in these maps. That means we're gonna lose 2 black congressional districts. That means that every candidate that's filed to run for Congressional 18 now has to figure out, do they run against Congressman Al Green in the 9th district? And so y'all are actually helping them with their cause, because they can say, hey, it's enough time. They can now file. The voters know the district lines have changed. The primary isn't until March. we're good.
Well, Roland, I think that what you're saying is plausible, but again, we're relying on the experts of the attorneys. And on top of that, one of the main goals was to get California to get off of their ass and other blue states to get off their ass.
I'm sorry,
We raised
Representative Reynolds. I'm sorry. This is the issue for me. This is the issue that I have. I am 56 years old. My parents are from Texas. My grandparents, maternal, migrated from there. My paternal grandparents, my ancestry dates back to the 1800s in Texas. I have 9 nieces, 4 nephews. My nephew just had a child. My niece has a child due in November. All of them live in Texas. And the reality is, Texas Democrats, Texas members of the legislature are elected to protect Texas. California can do what they want to do. Illinois can do what they want to do. Virginia, Maryland, but Texas is elected to represent Texas interests. Now, if Gavin Newsom does what he does, that's great. But the reality is, how do you not fight? Y'all were out 2 weeks. The Montgomery bus boycott was 382 days. So are you saying that that's it? One session, we're going to go back, then we're going to fight? I mean, I don't understand.
No, let me just say this real quick, Roland. I agree. I don't disagree with you in principle because I'm a fighter. I believe in going to the balls to the walls. But unfortunately, with respect to the numbers, they're 4 members away from having quorum. We don't have a consensus of other members that we believe would hold out the entirety.
And isn't that the problem? Well, then, how then can you? How then, and this is a fundamental problem that Democrats face in Texas and the country. How can you should be saying to those Democrats, how are we going to go to the voters and tell them to fight when we gave up? They're not going to be welcoming y'all back as some conquering heroes. They're going to say y'all lost. Literally, it was no different than Senator Cory Booker standing there breaking Strom Thurmond's record. And when he was done and they all clapped, they said, let's now move the motion. And then, so what do we have right now? We have people who say Democrats don't fight. We have people right now, Texas is unorganized. You got the most elected, the most eligible black voters in Texas than anywhere in the country. And on the watch of Democrats right now, we're going to see the loss of 2 black congressional districts. And I'm sorry, Representative Reynolds, I understand people being out. I understand family concerns. I understand financial concerns. But how can we tell voters we want you to fight and stand up and stand in line for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours if Texas House Democrats will give in after 2 weeks?
I'll pass it, but I want to say this. If it was up to the people that were on this Zoom, or if it was up to the Legislative Black Caucus, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
But this conversation, will there be any member of the Black Caucus who shows up on Saturday or Monday to allow them to have a quorum?
I don't believe that there will be on Saturday. I can't speak for beyond Saturday, but I don't know. Friday, Saturday.
I'm going to tell you right now, if there is a single African American who shows up to allow them to have a quorum, that person should be challenged, primaried, and I'm telling you right now, should be defeated. Because what this is going to do is decimate black power in Texas. And I'm sorry, Representative Reynolds, look. But here's my problem.
I understand.
But here's my problem. My mama and daddy, 78 years old, went to polling places, worked campaigns, ran campaigns. I was 7 years old passing out material at voting places. And I'll be damned if I'm going to give up this easy and impact my nieces and nephews, because we know if we lose these 2 congressional districts, we will never see them again in my lifetime and likely not the lifetime of my nieces and nephews.
Brad, I feel you, bro. I no need to apologize. I'm with you in spirit. We're working with a group that's multifaceted, multiracial, not as progressive. They're people from different communities. And I feel your passion, and I'm with you, brother. I want to go all in. So we will continue to relay this message. I'm only communicating to you what was communicated to us. So just know that I'm a messenger, I'm an ambassador, and I am relaying to you the concerns of the attorneys and others who've looked at the best strategies to proceed forward. What you're saying, I feel you.
Right.
No, wait. And I'm going to tell you right now, and let me make it perfectly clear. If there is a single African American who allows them to have a quorum, I will personally bring my show to their district and personally have a town hall in their district and have their voters speak against them. Representative Johnson, go ahead.
Yes, I was just saying, Roland, you are singing to the choir right here. We understand what you're saying, and we started this, like Ron said at the beginning, to fight this because it is our districts that are being impacted. It is our voices being impacted. We know that everybody may not be on the same page, but you're singing to the choir today. And what we cannot allow the Republicans to do is to make us attack each other. The Republicans are the enemies, not us.
No. Representative Johnson, I'm sorry. The enemy are the Republicans and the enemy are weak Democrats. That's the enemy. And what we find in Texas right now is that that's one of the fundamental. Listen, I'm still registered in Texas. Matter of fact, I am registered in Congressman Jasmine Crockett's district. And what I'm saying is, again, here's a perfect example. This is just real simple for me. 9 Democrats walked out in the Texas Senate. If the other 2 had walked out, they couldn't have passed the maps.
Right.
So what I don't understand is, why did the other 2 stay? They could have walked out.
Right, but we did.
No. But that's the perfect example I'm talking about. If 9 walked out and went to their office, and they couldn't, if 2 Democrats had also walked out, Zaffarini and Chewy Hinojosa, they couldn't have passed the maps. So what do they say? Oh, we stayed to fight. No, you didn't. You stayed to lose.
So you're going to go into their districts, into those 2 Democrats that stayed, you're going to go in their district?
You goddamn right I ain't got a problem doing it, because this is the problem. And I'm telling y'all right now, black folks are saying, oh, Democrats, y'all want us to fight, organize, mobilize, swing, and put all the work, and then when we do, then you don't even have the gumption to force a second or a third session. You give up after 2 weeks. Representative Jones, go ahead.
So I 1,000% agree with you.
You're on mute,
No, she's here. We hear.
I'm 1,000% in line with you. I ain't gonna be there on Saturday or Monday. Let me be clear. If this is my respectful opinion, if we go with them, we allow the people who are not losing seats. Okay, the people that are losing seats are black people. Okay, they are losing seats, and we will never get them back. So I'm not gonna make it easy for them to not be courageous. I'm just not. I think it's wrong. I think that we can't ask our constituents to fight for us if we're not willing to fight for them. We had 4 special sessions in the 88th legislature. We've been here for not even 2 weeks. Monday will be 2 weeks. So we will not have even held out for 2 weeks. I don't know how my law practice is going to be when I get back from here. And I've got to figure that out. But right now, I always wanted to have a civil rights moment where I could show people who my grandmother and mom raised me to be. And this is that moment in time. I understand people have different reasoning for what they're doing, but I'm not going to do it. I literally woke up this morning crying. Because why would I let California do what I can do my damn self? True story. And even if California is able to pass their maps, that doesn't stop CD. And let me be clear, my district, House District 147, has 3 of the districts in it. I share constituencies with CD9, with CD18, and with CD29, and I live in CD18. My constituents will not have the opportunity to elect 2 or 3 people who think like us. And us spreading the word and getting the word out, and California or Illinois or New York doing whatever it is they do, doesn't change the fact that I ain't gonna handle sufficient black representation in Houston, where I live, and allow us to pick the person. And the same thing is true in Dallas. And so I'm not a sheep at all. I'm not gonna just follow because that is like what people are saying to say. You know, I'm willing to hold out as long as I need to. I know the Montgomery bus boycott lasted for over a year, right? People struggled. People had to figure out how to get to work. People lost their jobs, and this was for over a year because they understood that the only way to get white folks to pay attention was to hit them in the pocketbook, and they thought they could outlast us. So you ain't got to worry about me. I ain't going nowhere. And let me be clear to anybody who says I'm not team House Democratic Caucus. No, I'm team HG 147. I'm team my constituents. My constituents are what matters. So that's all. I ain't making no mistakes. like I said, sometimes in life, decisions are hard. Sometimes in life, you got to make them. And I make a decision to stand with my constituents. I'm not making a decision to make it easier for the Democrats to go back. And let me be clear, if we go back to the House, we are going to be slaughtered, okay? There are 88 of them and 62 of us. They don't listen to us. They shove stuff down our throats all session. Very, 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 very bad bills, right? So when I fight to win. I don't fight to win the messaging. I don't fight to end a session. My fight is to stop the maps. And if we stay with a quorum, and back to the whole legal thing, let me be clear. If we stayed till March or June, guess what? There would be no maps to change the game. There would be no maps. There would be no maps. So the same districts that we have right now would still be in place if we stopped them from doing it. So I'm a lawyer. That's legal fiction. People can say stuff. I cannot let people be on me and tell me it's raining. I'm just not going to believe it. If we fought, if we stopped it, there would be no new maps for people to vote on. Period, point blank.
Friday, I had State Representative Sophronia Thompson on, longest-serving House member ever, and we talked about Senator John Cornyn asking the FBI to come in and come after them. This is what she actually said about that.
It's a civil warrant. It's not a criminal warrant. And number three, Tom DeLay tried it in 2003 when we left and went to Ardmore, Oklahoma. He wanted to send the FBI and pick us up and bring us back to Texas, and they did not get involved, and that was a Republican administration during that time as well. These are civil warrants and not criminal warrants, and they don't have to look for me. I tell them where I am, and I can send them a map and driving direction, and everything. They can locate me real well.
Well, so here's my point here, Representative Reynolds. One of the things that Dr. King always talked about, that I need an antagonist to my protagonist. And the reason the movement did not succeed in Albany, Georgia, because the sheriff was smart. He was college educated. But then they went against Jim Clark. They went against Bull Connor, because he understood I need an antagonist. So this is what I don't understand. If I'm going to go back, let's say I'm a House Democrat, and I'm going to go back, I ain't going to make it easy on them. I'm going to say, come get me. And matter of fact, if you come to my house, we're going to have the cameras there, and I'm going to kneel in my front yard, and then you're going to have to physically put me in a car. But what I'm not going to do is willingly walk to the state capitol. I'm not going to make it easy on them. I'm not going to make it, no, I'm going to make it hard on them. And so are you saying that to the other Democrats, that we going to make it easy? We just going to walk back to Austin and think the people going to say, oh, glad to have y'all back. The last 2 weeks was great. No, you got to make it hard on them. What are Democrats in Texas doing to make it hard on them instead of making it easy walking back in?
Well, Roland, again, Fred, I feel your passion, and I agree with the sentiments of what Representative Jones said. And just for context, if you look back at the empirical data on this, I was one of the first to say we need to break quorum. So I do believe in the spirit of good trouble, necessary trouble. I was one of the ones with Jasmine Crockett back in 2021 that says we need to break quorum and go to D.C., and we did. So I feel you, Frat. The only problem I'm telling you is that everybody ain't built like us, okay?
Well, then everybody who ain't built like us also need to be called out. Because, see, these are the same folk who want us to put it on the line, but when it's time for them to put it on the line, they punk out.
Well, Frat, to be honest with you, I know for a fact that they would be able to make quorum. That many people say, I didn't sign up for a second quorum break. I'm just going to be transparent with you. We had to push and do everything we could to get them to do this quorum break right here, right now. So we tried to move the needle, but the resistance was, hey, I got to do this. I got a wife. I got a spouse. I got a job. I got this. I got that. I can't do another 30 days. So we would not likely have the number that we need, 51 strong, to be able to have a continued quorum break. That is the real honest to God's truth. That's being transparent, keeping it 100, keeping it real. We can, many of us can say, hey, we gonna hold a line. But if you get 4 more, the quorum break is over. They have a quorum. That is what I'm telling you, Brad. I'm just putting it on the line.
And you know what? Here's what's amazing for me, Representative Johnson. I literally watched 4 Freedom Caucus Republicans force vote after vote after vote after vote for a new Speaker of the House. We saw them 4. And this is, and I'm just telling you, I spent a lot of time on the ground. I'm going to put it down right now. Here's what's going to happen. For every Democrat who's going, oh, we won the messaging. Oh, we done rallied the other Democrats. When they come back, folks in Texas are going to be mad and disappointed. They're going to be upset. And they're going to say, that's it? 2 weeks? That's it? And I'm telling you, it's going to be harder to motivate young folks in Texas, to motivate other folks in Texas to vote out folks in these state seats, because they're going to say, why should I vote for a party that folded so easily? Your response to that?
My response is you're absolutely right. They want to see Democrats fighting, and we have to continue this fight. I wholeheartedly agree with you. And like I said, you talk to 3 people that are here, 10 toes down. We have to show that we are fighting. We are not giving up the fight. We are not giving up that fight. And I can understand, you looking at what you're hearing. We haven't confirmed when we were coming back. Us 3, you haven't heard us say that. We didn't say we was coming back on any of those days.
First of all, you don't have to, ma'am, no disrespect. You don't have to, because this right here is the Texas Tribune. It says right here, Texas House Democrats who left the state in protest of proposed congressional redistricting said Thursday they will return to the state after the legislature adjourned. They said in a statement, members of the minority party said their lawyers had advised them to return, quote, to build a strong public legislative record for the upcoming legal battle against these particular districts. This is the state, says Texas House Democrats broke quorum and successfully mobilized the nation against Trump's assault on minority voting rights. This is according to Representative Wu out of Houston, facing threats of arrest, lawfare, financial penalties, harassment, and bomb threats. We have stood firm in our fight against a proposed Jim Crow congressional district map. Go right ahead.
And again, I speak for Charlene, not for anybody whose name you saw in there. And I said that the fight has to continue. And so what we have to do is continue to fight. And I'm listening to my constituents, what my constituents want me to do.
Right.
They voted me into this seat, and I have their respect. I have their voice that I'm listening to. Not anybody else or whatever you read on there. I'm listening to my constituents.
Representative Jones, final comment.
I'm just going to say this. My constituents said, stay where you at, right? And the fact that I have colleagues who feel like they need to go there, I can't let that dictate what I do. I just can't, right? And apart from that, I woke up this morning crying. I woke up this morning because I see the only power that we have, we're giving away. Literally the only power that we had to stop those bullies, those racist, anti-Black people, we literally stopped them in their tracks because they could not conduct business. And so I've never in my entire life, I've been on so many winning teams. I don't take well to losing. And I don't believe, even though some people think it's a win, me personally, I don't think it's a win if they pass those maps, because we are going to lose representation. We are going to lose it. And the people that are losing it are Black people. White people aren't losing representation. Hispanic people got 5 seats. The people that are losing it are Black. And I just want to see when people will stand for Black people like they stand for other people. That's just real. And again, I'm a lawyer for 30 years. If the maps don't go into effect, then we still have 2 congressional seats that people can run for. And if the maps do go into effect, then we're going to have a bloodbath between 2 Black people in Houston and 2 Black people in Dallas. And I think we want the opportunity to have both of those Black people in both Houston and in Dallas. So I'm not with you in spirit. I'm with you in action, right? Because it's about, I mean, your words might say something, but what do your actions show? And so, and I fully expect to be punished. I fully expect that if I'm in the House, in the State House, I ain't gonna pass no more bills ever again in life. But if that's what I have to lose, I may not even be talked to ever again in life in the House, because I didn't go along to get along. I'm prepared for that, because the people that elected me to fight for them have asked me to stay, and that's what I'm doing, regardless of the consequences from political people.
I'm gonna close this out. This is Dr. King's book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? In the last chapter called The World House, and I'm gonna skip around, this is literally what he says. He writes, the present upsurge of the Negro people of the United States grows out of a deep and passionate determination to make freedom and equality a reality here and now. What we are seeing now is a freedom explosion, the realization of an idea whose time has come, to use Victor Hugo's phrase. The deep rumbling of discontent that we hear today is the thunder of disinherited masses rising from dungeons of oppression to the bright hills of freedom. All over the world, like a fever, freedom is spreading to the widest liberation movement in history. The great masses of people are determined to end the exploitation of their races and lands. He says you can hear them rumbling in every village, street, on the docks, in the houses, among the students, in the churches, and at political meetings. Oppressed people cannot remain oppressed forever. The yearning for freedom eventually manifests itself. Then he says something within has reminded the Negro of his birthright of freedom, and something without has reminded him that it can be gained. Consciously or unconsciously, he has been caught up by the spirit of the times, and with his Black brothers of Africa and his brown and yellow brothers in Asia, South America, and the Caribbean, the United States Negro is moving with a sense of great urgency toward the promised land of racial justice. Nothing could be more tragic than for men to live in these revolutionary times and fail to achieve the new attitudes and the new mental outlooks that the new situation demands. Very simple. The people today, the voters today, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, these are not the same folk as baby boomers and Generation X. And the reality is, fewer African Americans are self-identifying as Democrats. People are saying, I don't see fighters, I don't see people standing up. And what they're also saying is exactly what Representative Jones says. We have been the backbone of the Democratic Party. We have been the ones who have withstood the battles and the fights and have carried the torch. And when the hell do the other folks stand up and fight as hard as we do? I understand every single point that you've made, Representative Reynolds, Representative Johnson, Representative Jones. But I'm telling you right now, y'all should go back to that caucus and you tell Representative Wu and you tell Tallarico and you tell Anachi and tell the rest of them, they are going to have a problem when they let these racist maps go through, and they going to look up, and if you think Black folks have said we sitting out and we going to spend times doing line dances, boots on the ground, they are in for a rude awakening when they come to Black churches and Black neighborhoods and say, where you at? And the response is going to be, where in the hell were you at? We needed you the most. I thank all three of you for your work. And again, let every member of the Black Caucus know, any member who stands with these Republicans and gives them a quorum, I'm putting their names and their faces on this show every single day, because they got to be called out. And let me be real clear. I understand other folk, but this show centers African Americans. Let those Black members know that if they buckle, they will be called out.
Roland, may I say one quick thing?
I literally got to go to a break. My panel's next. I appreciate all three of you. Thank you, sir, very much for your service and your fight. Thanks a lot. Got to go to a break. I'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network. getting like this major artist like Snoop to be like, yeah, you're going to be the flagship of Death Row Records is crazy. Because I'm like, okay. When he got the call, I was in the room. He was sealing the deal. It's done. And I was like, man, congratulations. You know, I got me a drink. You know, he rolled up, and we were sitting there talking, and I was like, oh man, I can't imagine how many rappers you're going to have on this label. It's going to be. He was like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that's Death Row, Tupac, Suge, the whole look. And he's like, no, you're going to be the flagship for it. You're going to do it first. And I'm like,
you try. Well, look, I'm
R&B. Like,
right.
This Death Row's not R&B. He said it is now. He was like, I'll get rappers later. Don't worry about that, but I want you to take over. I'm like, oh, I was nervous. I was like, there's no way this is going to work. People are, and of course you get a little backlash from, on the comment section, when he's posting about it. It's just like, he's R&B, that's not Death Row. And we had to slowly kind of get people acclimated to it.
Hey, this is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered, though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect anything less? Watch what happens next.
Reese Colbert is the host of Sirius XM radio show, The Reese Colbert Show. Joining us from D.C., Dr. Greg Carr, Department of African American Studies, Howard University, host of The Black Table on the Black Star Network. Reese, I'll start with you. I can't stand weakness, Reese. Robin Harris said, I'm pissed off to the highest of pissivity. I got calls this morning saying the Democrats were going to buckle, but it wasn't just the calls this morning. In fact, last week, Representative Anchia was on this show, and when we talked to him, he literally laid out that this was the plan, that this was the agenda, laid out, well, we got folk, it's a lot going on and stuff along those lines. And when he was talking, I was sitting there going, I said, okay, here they go expressing his weakness, here they go. And I'm telling you, they think it's just going to be business as usual, and it's not. I mean, I'm going to do this here. I'm going to play for you exactly, go ahead and roll. This is what he said on this show Friday.
And we have jobs and families back home. We set some pretty clear goals when we started this quorum break. The first one was that we were going to try, and it was going to be very hard because of the frenetic Trump media cycle, to capture the American imagination on redistricting. We wanted people to be talking about redistricting in barbershops, on street corners, and on shows just like this, just like you're doing, to try to raise consciousness. I think we've done that. I'm really pleasantly surprised because this little band of Texas state representatives was able to help elevate the conversation. The second thing we wanted to do is work with blue state governors to get them ready. Because if we had just let them run over us on the House floor, this would have been a 2-day media cycle, and it would have been over. Like, nobody would have paid attention to Texas. It would be like, Texas Democrats lose, okay. So that's why we couldn't let that happen. We wanted to make sure that we were protecting our African American and Latino constituents by working with blue state governors to show some pushback. Right? That's super important. It was super important to us. And finally, we said we were going to run out the clock on this special session. Now, the governor's right. He can call special session after special session after special session. So our goal was to give the blue states some time to catch up, to activate their plans for redistricting. But at some point, we're going to have to go back and fight this on the House floor, and we're going to have to fight it in the courts, especially since there's some clear violations of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And that's kind of our strategy. So if we can tick the box and say, national conversation, blue state strategy to counteract the 5 from Texas, and we understand that we have a delegation in California today meeting with Governor Newsom. They're ready to roll. And we run out the clock on this special session, we will have succeeded, and the rest is up to blue state governors that have the trifecta of the House, the Senate, and the governorship to really counteract this stuff.
You ain't gonna succeed shit, Reese. What's gonna happen is you're gonna go there, they're gonna gavel that sucker in a session, and they're gonna pass this bill in less than 60 seconds.
This is where Democrats fucked up. Democrats have the delusional idea that they are ever going to get an A for effort, that they're going to get a credit for trying.
Right. Oh my God, that was great. I mean, y'all are heroes. Y'all sat out 2 weeks. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that good for them. They did something. I mean, people are constantly saying Democrats do something, Democrats fight, show us something. But the reality is that elections have motherfucking consequences. And the consequences are that in the state of Texas, you have a Republican governor who should have never been reelected after Uvalde and all of the other heinous things that have happened in Texas, but he was reelected comfortably against Beto. You have a Republican control of the Senate and the representatives over the House, whatever it's called in Texas. And so they have the power. Democrats have to start getting fucking real with voters about the fact that when Republicans have power, they get to do very bad shit. And the only way to ensure that Republicans don't have power to do very bad shit is to vote their asses out and vote Democrats in. They try to do that every election cycle. People don't believe them. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe bad things are happening. Well, what the hell did you think was going to happen? Of course it was going to happen. But another thing that this reveals, I said it last week on your show, Roland, that there was no real long-term strategy. There was a short-term strategy as the guy laid out there. Stop one special session. Okay, well, then here come the next one. They raised expectations too high. And now the people who did something, who aren't the enemy, are becoming the villains in the situation. So what I'm interested in seeing here is Representative Yolanda Jones. She is part of a crowded primary field for former Representative Sylvester Turner's seat. I'm interested in seeing if those voters decisively reward her with that seat in the primary, and they say, you know, we want a Yolanda Jones.
No, no. She's filed for District 18. There's not going to be a District 18.
Well, I don't know.
No. No. Let me walk you through this here. There are about 20 people who have filed to run for District 18. That's the district held by the late Congressman Sylvester Turner, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, Craig Washington, Mickey Leland, Barbara Jordan. Republicans are getting rid of that district. They have moved the line so Congressman Al Green, who is currently in District 9, who's currently living in where he is, they've moved his house to District 9. He is going to run for re-election. So 18 is being wiped.
But is there not a special election happening here?
No. Follow me here. The election, there's a special election, but here's the problem. You're gonna have the special election, but that seat's gone. So here's the deal: they have to file for that seat. The filing date, I think, is September. The special election is in November to fill
2025.
25 to fill District 18. Okay. But when the Republicans pass the map, then 18 gets wiped out. 30, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett gets wiped out. So the deadline to file to run in 2026 is December because the primaries in Texas are in March. So Representative Jones, if Representative Jones wins, and she's running against former Councilwoman Amanda Edwards, County Attorney Kristen Menifee, and a host of others. So if she wins, she's there for 1 year. But she has only 1 month to decide whether she files to run against Congressman Al Green in District 9.
Yeah. But my point, Roland, is that if the premise is that Democrats get all this credit for fighting, then one way that we can show that, the evidence will show, even no matter how short-lived this district is, the evidence will show that Representative Jones will win that crowded primary. And that's what I'm saying. That's one of the ways that we can put our mouth where our vote is, and where Texas Democrats who are outraged about Texas Democrats being so weak, that's one way they can say, hey, when you step up to the plate and you stand firm, then we're going to make sure that you are the person that represents us. I'm interested to see if that happens. I think she deserves it regardless, but I'm interested to see because there's always so much talk about how much, we want Democrats to fight. And very often, those same Democrats are not rewarded.
Well, here's the whole deal. I mean, listen, she's a former city council member. She's a former school district member of the school district. She's now in the state house. And so if you look at fundraising, endorsements of polling, she's leading that. Again, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, she's gonna have a month. She's gonna have a month to say,
I get it.
and a month is gonna be, do I run again? So her running is really immaterial to this battle, because if this battle wasn't happening, frankly, based upon any number of factors, it's a good bet that if you had to bet who's going to be in a runoff, it's going to be her. But this is the thing that jumps out for me, Greg. And see, this is why I was going so hard with the Black Caucus. If the Black Caucus, as a caucus, said, we ain't going back. All of us are going to stand here. And if y'all going to do this, you're going to do it without us. That then would have caused them to say, are we going to buck the entire Black Caucus? But see, here's the problem, Greg. The problem is you got some weak Negroes in the Black Caucus. You got some weak Negroes who refuse to come on this show to talk, and we called them. We need to go back. Because you know what happened? When they had the last walkout, and I know him personally, but he punked out. Garnett Coleman. We need to go back. For what? To get slaughtered? He participated in the breaking of the quorum. Ron Wilson, his sorry ass. When Tom DeLay pulled that shit when he was in Congress, the first time, Ron Wilson brokered a deal because, see, he thought he was going to get the congressional seat of Al Green. And you know what happened? He ran. So he partnered with the Republicans, lined with them, and he went back. And you know what happened when he ran for that congressional seat? Got his ass whooped. And then you know what happened when he ran for his state rep seat? Got his ass whooped. So my point is, if you are the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, you all stand firm and say, if y'all gonna break the quorum, then y'all gonna do it without any of us.
Yeah, it'll be a Pyrrhic victory. It'll be symbolic. The Democrats will lose. And will take the next step toward the inevitable, which is the fracturing of the American state. This battle's already been lost. This battle was lost at the ballot box. Some people may accuse you or me or Reese or anyone else speaking on the specific subject I'm about to say as shaming voters. I wouldn't call it shaming voters. I would say forcing human beings to look in the mirror and say that you put the knife in your own throat by not registering, by not checking your registration, and by not voting. This battle has already been won by the white supremacists, but the war has not been won by the white supremacists. Sure, the the Texas Black Caucus should not go back. I agree with Representative Jones. And I also understand Representative Reynolds in the sense of saying that in some ways this battle will now shift to the courts. Now, as you walk them through in Louisiana and Alabama, the goal should be to get to December. Certainly late fall, early maybe winter, to try to stop this by saying that these maps can't be and it's changed. But let's just say that they fail, and it looks like they're going to fail. If that's the case, they're going to go to court anyway. Now, will they lose in court? Probably. But here's where we're going ultimately. California, Governor Newsom now saying, well, an early November vote to do something about redistricting, maybe Pritzker in Illinois, maybe we see something in New York where their rules are a little different. Certainly Ohio, where there's triggered a statewide redistricting commission, if they can't reach a 60% threshold in the legislature, which they should be able to do. The white nationalists in Florida, the white nationalists in Missouri, where they would carve up Emmanuel Cleaver's seat, the white nationalists in Indiana, probably could claw a few more white nationalist seats in the federal legislature. But ultimately, it's going to come down to this. The type of outrage that you exhibited there in that conversation with Representatives Reynolds, Johnson, and Jones is not going to be shared by millions of black voters in this country who have simply tuned out. Another set of victims, too whipped to choose, to quote Gil Scott Heron, distraction, disinformation, for whatever reason, simply have opted out of the political process. But the thing that will trigger their ire may very well be the stick. Because, see, the thing about white nationalism is, finally, that its overreach comes with a type of hubris that can ultimately trigger the type of response that we need. This won't change until black athletes decide to stop going to Texas and Texas A&M. This won't stop until black stop spending money. But see, they won't feel that until a supermajority in Texas, a majority of the federal legislature, like what we're seeing in D.C., starts harassing black people in the streets. We got an email today at Howard University, and I'm still in Egypt, so we return to school next week. But I got my email, checked my email, and here's an email instructing students, faculty, staff, and folks that on Howard University campus to always carry your IDs. Make sure you're in count.
That's some South African apartheid bullshit.
That is exactly right. And Roland, what you just said, brother, that is where we're headed. And I can't tell, frankly, it's hard for me to contain my enthusiasm. I welcome it. Let me tell you why I welcome it. Nelson Mandela doesn't become the president of South Africa without the Sharpeville massacre, without going to jail for 27 years. There's going to be some pain ahead, and that's where you find the heroic age. We're not going to get out of this without pain. And I really don't think that the handful of moderate Democrats, if the state caucus, black caucus in Texas were to say we're not going, I really don't think that the Democratic Party would still have the gumption not to give them quorum, because there's going to be some punk-ass Democrats who are not black who would simply go in there. I think ultimately the only way this is going to be resolved is by direct confrontation. And we have passed the time when we could have used the ballot. And as Malcolm said, it may be another alternative coming up soon that we're going to have to finally face. But when we face that, then we're going to get some change. But I think this moment may be on the verge of passing, brother.
See, what I need everybody watching to understand, and this is why I absolutely disagree with what the lawyers are telling Representative Reynolds. Now let me preface this by saying the Supreme Court, we already know they'll do whatever the hell they want to do. Mm-hmm. But as Greg knows, and Greg went to law school, the Supreme Court has consistently said, hey, it's not enough time to fully adjudicate this case, so therefore we're going to leave the maps in place because it creates too much consternation among the voters. So you've had lower courts rule congressional maps to be unconstitutional. But because the Supreme Court says it's not enough time to adjudicate, rule on the maps, and then for the legislature to go back and redraw the maps, they've often said they remain in place. So, Reese, the reason why folk like me were saying, no, your whole strategy should be hold out until December, because there's a filing deadline in December for the March primary. See, they keep saying, oh, they can move the primary. True. But here is the problem. If they had held out until December, then you hit the date, and so people then file for the existing districts in December, then they would then have to try to come back January, February, whatever, and try to change the maps and then move the primary later and then still get sued. We know, for example, that in Louisiana, they actually passed the maps early in the year. There was enough time before the August primary. Supreme Court said, nope, got to freeze them in place. So I don't understand why they are falling for this. Well, no, they let them pass it now so we can file. They literally are helping the Republicans like, yo, we changed the maps in August. It's more than enough time for people to file to run in the new maps, and then sure y'all sue, and it's going to be 4 years before it's fully adjudicated.
I hear you, Roland. I hear you. Perhaps if they had held out, that would have been the case. But we are talking about people who are getting paid $7,200 a year. Probably their pay is suspended. Being a legislator is a part-time thing. These are people who are away from their families, away from their livelihoods. Now, that's what they signed up for when they left, and they set the expectation that they were going to be stopping the maps.
And that's the problem right there. You set the expectation. You go to New York State, and you have a news conference with Hochul, and you're in Illinois, and you're going to California, and you're like, we going to fight this. We ain't letting them pass it. And your ass give up in 2 weeks?
I know, Chad. That was bad PR on their part. That was a bad.
And Reese, guess what? They literally, and I already got the tea. They literally are like, oh no, we've won the messaging war. No, we've won the messaging war. We've rallied the Democrats in other places. No, they literally have been in their meetings saying we're gonna be welcome like heroes. I am not lying. They have literally been saying, can we have people at the Capitol on Saturday when we come back on the Capitol steps applauding us when we come back? I said, y'all got to be out. I am not lying.
No, they delulu as fuck. They are absolutely not going to be welcomed back as heroes. They're going to be welcomed back as weak ass people. But I will say this to anybody who was looking at the Democrats as being weak, that's fine. Make sure when these people are up for a primary, when these people are up for a re-election, when you march to the polls to vote their ass out, make sure that you march to the polls to vote out Greg Abbott's ass and vote out John Cornyn's ass and any other Republican in your motherfucking way. And if you're not a regular voter, now would be the time to do that if we get there. To Dr. Carr's point, this might come to a head before that. We're all talking hypothetically as though we're even going to have elections. But my concern, I figured that at some point it will come to some non-voting resolution. But so far, the people out there pew-pewing are the crazy-ass MAGA motherfuckers. The CDC got shot up. The Democrats got killed in Minnesota. The wrong people are getting activated right now. And so if this doesn't come to that kind of head, before our next vote happens, get your ass out and vote. You can vote mad against the Democrats, but make sure you vote just as mad against the people who are really the ones implementing these heinous policies.
Here's the thing for me, Greg, that a lot of people don't understand. First of all, in Texas, it's in the Constitution. It's by design that it's not a full-time legislature, okay? They meet every 2 years, even though the governor can call as many special sessions as possible. But here's the other thing. Texas lawmakers are allowed to have other jobs. And so when there were people talking about, oh, they're getting fined $500 a day, see, this is what happens when you strategize. That's when you sit here and go, oh, okay, I'm going to hire 5 of them. And I'm going to pay them. So you getting fined $500 a day, 7 days a week? Okay, I'm gonna hire 5. You hire 5. You hire 5. You hire 5. The law allows for them to have multiple jobs. They can. In fact, there are state lawmakers who created companies that were getting bond contracts with cities and counties and municipalities who were state legislators. So folks don't even understand that. There are also no campaign limits in Texas in terms of money being donated. See, this is what I'm talking about. To Reese's point, Greg, if you're going to do this, you're going to raise expectations, can you have a game plan that lasts more than 2 weeks? That's the equivalent of saying we got a big football game on Saturday and we have a 2-quarter game plan. Hey, coach, you know it's 4 quarters. Greg, go ahead.
It's true. And this is really where, Roland, you've identified the real. And that is, we don't have a firm grasp of long-range thinking that then gets back mapped into bite-sized, step-by-step strategy. the purebred religious racists, and I call them religious racists because they're religious extremists. Russell Vogt, Kevin Roberts, and so many others associated with Quarterbacks of Project 2025, which people look at as a political document, and it is, but it's been driven by a white nationalist, cultural, theocratic foundation. What we're seeing in Texas is anti-Black racism being the jet fuel for this type of political strategy. Now, of course, a lot has been made of the fact that this proposed redistricting would create some Latino plurality districts.
Yeah, 5. Greg Abbott says 5 Republican-leaning Latino districts.
Right. But the problem is that now these white nationalists have moved to cracking and packing Latinos. And they are relying on anti-Black racism to inform enough people in the Spanish-speaking community in that now Latino plurality state of Texas to peel off those votes by having these people vote against Black people. Now, then what should our response be? Well, if we had a long-range view, we would understand a couple of things. Number one, white nationalism is permanent in this country. It is foundational to the country. And number two, you can't appeal to white nationalists to attempt to beat white nationalism by appealing to white nationalists.
Right.
So your long range would be to break the back of white nationalism by embracing a Black first strategy, and then the bite-sized steps in terms of implementing that long range vision in a step-by-step process is to say, as Black people, we represent the of Black people first, but that Black first strategy also benefits everyone else. Now, what do I mean? So when you go to now a Latino plurality district, a new one, you say, look, these white nationalists hate you. They've cracked and packed your district. And some of y'all hate us. I'm not here to make you like me. I'm not here to convince you that I'm a human being. I'm here to say that you are a racist, but now you're a racist with a food bill that has exploded. Now you're a racist with a power bill that has exploded. And campaign for you to like me, what I'm going to say is that the people who hate me hate you as well.
Boom.
If we come together, you can still with a lower medical bill, a lower electricity bill, and we can have a beer and fight each other in the street, and that's just fine. But what we have to understand is we got to stop pretending as if we can woo voters already who don't participate, but the ones who do. Quit pretending as if we can woo voters by somehow gussying ourselves up, washing our faces and combing our hair in a certain way and saying, kee hee, see, we're harmless. No, you got to fight these people. I like the way that shows up. And I'm saying that's a winning strategy, even with white nationalists who will say, I hate you, but I'm still going to vote for you because I can hate you in a house where my heating bill and my cooling bill isn't exploding. That's how you implement a long-range strategy in a short-range fashion. But in order to do that, we've got to look long-range. And long-range is this a white nationalist country, and it's always going to be one.
So to close this out, and Risa made this point, congressional districts are gerrymandered. State rep districts are gerrymandered. State Senate districts are gerrymandered. But you can't gerrymander in the presidential race, or the United States Senate, or the governor, or the Attorney General, or the Secretary of State, or the Land Commissioner, or seats on the Texas Supreme Court. Those are all statewide seats. And so I have been saying this to Greg's point about Black first. Y'all, and can't nobody say I ain't been saying this, but I've been real clear why you must give your money to Black Voters Matter. Give the money to Black groups that are mobilizing Black people on the ground. How many times have y'all heard me say that if we vote at 70% of our capacity, if we vote at 70% of our capacity against these white nationalists in Texas, and let's be real clear, y'all, George W. Bush beat Governor Ann Richards. Then when he ran a second time, he ran against what they call a unity ballot. You had a rich Latino banker running for governor. You had a black man who was mayor of Dallas and Ron Kirk running for United States Senate. And then you had a white man in John Sharp who was running, I think it was for lieutenant governor. And guess what? They all lost. So they presented this multiracial coalition. And Republicans have controlled Texas politics for the last 25 years. They own it. Every statewide office. And the reason they keep winning, there are multiple reasons. But one of the reasons is that the 254 counties in Texas, Democrats only have 81 county offices. That's one. But the second reason is because malaise. People have just been so upset. Well, you know, we can't do anything. When Beto lost against Greg Abbott, 75% of young people under the age of 30 did not vote. Texas has more eligible black voters than any state in America. Texas is an unorganized state. It is a state that's not been mobilized. And what I'm saying to black people, if any black member allows them to have a quorum, you primary them and you take them out. But then what you do is you absolutely take out Ken Paxton or John Cornyn for United States Senate. And then what you do is you take out, in 2028,
That's right.
you take out Abbott. You spend the next 3 years mobilizing that state and telling folk, y'all still want to live underneath this here? You mobilize young women to say, do you see how many women in Texas are dying because of these anti-abortionists, literally dying because they're being denied services when they have complications from pregnancy? Do y'all understand that I have a niece who is due, my oldest niece, my grandparents' oldest grandchild, who is due in November? I'm fucking scared to death because these assholes, if anything happens with her pregnancy, because of these assholes, she may not get the proper care because of the laws that they have established. See, to Greg's point, to a lot of folk, the shit ain't real till it get personal. And so earlier today, I was sitting in the chat and some folks were like, man, Roland, you know, I understand, you know, but you want the folks to do this here and do that here, but a lot of us are comfortable. I said, God damn it, I ain't comfortable. I said, because I pay the taxes on a house in Dallas County that my parents live in. And when I go home, and I've got family reunions, and when I sit here, and again, 9 nieces, 4 nephews, when I look at family members who are all in Texas, God damn it, that's blood, sweat that's in that fucking soil. And when I look at people today give up this easy, when I look at people today and you tell me that you ran for office to stand and fight for folk and all you could do is last for 2 weeks, and when I hear Sinfronia Thompson, who's a running buddy of my grandmother, who says, you ain't gonna look for me, I will show you the map to come to my house. Don't tell me you're going to walk back willingly to the state capitol. Don't tell me you're going to sit here and say, well, we're going to go over there and we fight. No, you're not. And if you didn't want to fight, then goddamn it, leave. Let somebody else in that position. Because what we are talking about is a battle that's generational. What we are talking about right now, go to my iPad, the United States Supreme Court is going to reconsider the congressional district in Louisiana, and they literally are going to rule against race-based congressional districts. And I need all of y'all to understand that what is on the ballot is they could wipe out with one goddamn ruling more than 30 black congressional seats. That means right now the Congressional Black Caucus is the largest caucus in the United States Congress, and this Supreme Court could literally wipe out half of the damn Congressional Black Caucus. So don't tell me you're being too emotional. Don't tell me it doesn't matter. Right now they're looking to wipe out Congressman Cleaver in Missouri. They're looking to wipe out Congresswoman Sykes in Ohio. They've already wiped out a black seat in Florida. I've told y'all repeatedly that they want to defund Black America. They want to take everything economically, everything politically, academics, business. They want Jim Crow 2.0 to return. And what you had better understand is read a goddamn history book. Because this is exactly what happened after the 1875 decision. This is exactly what happened after Plessy versus Ferguson, when they wiped out Black representation in Congress. Go read the speech of that last Black Republican who was from North Carolina. The reason the Congressional Black Caucus Phoenix Awards is called that because he said to them, you may wipe us out now, but we're going to rise like a phoenix. Every single one of y'all watching, y'all want to understand why I'm trying to tell y'all, stop sitting here debating this bullshit, LeBron and MJ, and we talk about dance and everything. These white nationalists literally are trying to wipe out every Black advancement that we have seen, not since the Civil Rights Movement, but since Reconstruction. This is not a drill. This is reality. You had better understand, I'm not going to be silent while it happens. And if you are Black, if you're unwilling to fight, if you ain't got the spirit of Shirley Chisholm, of being unbought and unbossed, well, get your ass out the way and let some folks in who are ready to do battle. I'll be back.
This week on the other side of change,
diaspora wars. The internet has been swarmed. Who has a right to Blackness and Black culture? Who is overrepresented, underrepresented? It's too much. It's making us dizzy.
We don't have to be prideful without this air of superiority, right? All stories matter within this Black sphere that we exist in.
Only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. The United States is the most dangerous place for a woman to give birth among all industrialized nations on the planet. Think about that for a second. That's not all. Black women are 3 times more likely to die in this country during childbirth than white women.
These healthcare systems are inherently racist. There are a lot of white supremacist ideas and mythologies around Black women, Black women's bodies, even Black people, that we experience painless, right?
Activist, organizer, and fearless freedom fighter Monifa Akinwole Bandele from Moms Rising joins us and tells us this shocking phenomenon, like so much else, is rooted in unadulterated racism. And that's just one of her fights. Monifa Bandele on the next Black Table here on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Black Americans have 1/10 the wealth of their white counterparts. But how did we get here? It's a huge gap. Well, that's why we need to know the history and what we need to do to turn our income into wealth. Financial author and journalist Rodney Brooks joins us to tell us exactly what we need to do to achieve financial success.
You can't talk about why we are, as Black people, where we are, unless you talk about how we got here.
Bridging the gap and getting wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
I'm Russell L. Honoré, Lieutenant General, United States Army, retired, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I laid out why I'm so pissed off. And somebody in the chat says, man, getting blood pressure up. And my problem is that we literally have folk who do not understand what's happening before our very eyes. When Greg just sat here and talked about how university students, faculty, staff, the Mecca, that's what it's called. You hear the real HU. Get an email in 2025 in so-called Chocolate City? Be sure to carry your ID. When I referenced South Africa, I need everybody watching right now, I need y'all to write down, type in your phone, the Polaroid Revolutionary Workers Movement. I need y'all to understand, apartheid doesn't end without what they did. Ken Williams is working at Polaroid, and he walks into the corporate headquarters, and he sees this picture, and he realizes that the passbooks, essentially passports, that black people were forced to carry in South Africa, they were made by Polaroid. Ken Williams goes to them and say, this ain't right. And he begins to go around and he begins to talk to the other black folks at Polaroid, and a young woman, 26 years old, named Carolyn Hunter. Carolyn listens to what he has to say, and she says, you're right. And Carolyn Hunter, her mama says, baby, what you doing? You just got your degree. You in chemist. You got you a nice job. Carolyn Hunter says, no, mama. My good job ain't good enough for me to accept this. And Ken Williams and Carolyn Hunter began to go on this battle, and they begin to fight this very issue. They lose their jobs. See, several years ago, Professor Charles Ogletree, he would do this Charles Hamilton Houston Institute, and he would have this panel discussion on Martha's Vineyard. 2008, I was invited to it. 2009, I was invited back. And then 2010, I did a book signing of my book on Obama, the election. And so I was invited there by Carol Williams. And so I'm staying at their house, do the book signing, everything. And so then in 2009, I'm sitting here, I'm filling in for Campbell Brown. And I'm in the hotel, the Parker Meridian in New York City. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I could not sleep. And I'm watching PBS. And they have a documentary on the divestment movement of South Africa. And I'm sitting there watching this. Then all of a sudden, a picture comes up. And I'm looking at that picture, and I go, is that the woman's house I was staying at? And I send her daughter a text at 3 o'clock in the morning. Is your mama, the Carolyn Hunter, in that doc? She said yes. Carolyn Hunter later married Ken Williams. Y'all, the Congressional Black Caucus wasn't even aware of these books. It was the Polaroid Revolutionary Workers who told the Black Caucus about what they're doing. Ron Dellums and John Conyers and others listened to these folk tell them about this, And that's how the divestment movement actually started. Because 2 black people at Polaroid said, no, we can't have this. So you got some Negroes standing firm. Well, that's right. Yes, right. Crime is up in D.C., and this is not bad what Trump is doing. So you got the mayor of D.C. announcing she's going to participate with ICE. I need somebody to explain to me how in the hell Muriel Bowser got her ass on a plane to fly to Martha's Vineyard. In the middle of this. See, some of y'all are sitting here like, well, man, it's just law enforcement, it's the military on the streets, keeping them safe. But the point Greg just made, if y'all think they're setting up roadblocks, forcing folks to show ID, this literally sounds and smells like apartheid in South Africa. And recently, it was a whole bunch of Negroes who told us, there's a whole bunch of FBA B1 ADOS folks, this ain't gonna impact us. They ain't coming after us. They coming after them. They gonna deport them. They gonna send them out. These white nationalists are making black folks show their ID in our cities, in our states, and in this country. And it's amazing, Reese, where all those loud mouths have gone. So when we're talking about this, we are trying to get Black America to understand that there is a bull's eye on the back, on front, on the forehead, on the back of the head, on the side of the head of every black person in this country, whether you have means or not. And they have no problem saying they are going to pass laws and restrictions to subjugate us as best as they can. They may not be able to put us in shackles as they did for 243 years, but they damn sure want to put invisible shackles on Black America.
How many times did we say citizenship was on the ballot? How many times did we say the things that we saw happening in Texas and other states around this issue of immigration, that eventually this will lead to Black people having to walk around with our papers? A week before Donald Trump activated the National Guard in D.C., they were doing checkpoints on Benning Road at about 10 locations throughout D.C., where any car going through was stopped by federal law enforcement. We saw video today of people who are driving, or not driving, but riding bikes, DoorDash delivery riders, Uber Eats, being stopped and then detained by ICE. I saw a video of the cops. Now, this was the Metropolitan PD, who has never been known to be benevolent towards Black people, let alone bringing in the damn National Guard, asking somebody who was sitting on their own property for ID. That person asked, was there any complaints around here? No. We are living in a situation where Black people, as you said, Roland, we are in the bullseye. And we saw this coming. They said they were going to do it. They started off with the migrants. They rounded so many of them up. Now they got to do this mass incarceration. And Donald Trump said, stay where you are. Criminals were going to come and get you. Who does he think the criminals are? Black people. I'm just going to talk about us. That's what this show was about. So if you have outstanding warrants, if you have bad child support, if you got a bench warrant, if you got unpaid parking tickets, you can't run and you can't hide no more. Because now you have all these people activated for the sole purpose of fucking with Black people. And people started to say when this happened, well, you know, these badass kids, they out there carjacking. So then why is it that Howard University students and faculty and visitors are being advised to walk around with their IDs? This has never been about actually fighting crime. This has for fuck sure never been about keeping Black people safer. This is about dismantling every ounce of progress that we've made in this country, which hasn't been a whole lot, but it was enough for many people to not be complaining and to sit out time and time again when we beg. All the time I've been on here, and I've been on here since 2019, Roland. Every episode we beg Black folks to vote. Vote your capacity. The unregistered motherfuckers, you are lost cause. But even if the people who are already registered voted, we have the capacity on our own to make the difference. And no, it's not only our responsibility, but this is life or death for us. So everything is at stake. Unfortunately, we can't combat this in the next 10 days, 100 days. This is a long-term fight. We got to try to rack up some wins. We got to try to turn the tide. But we have to recognize that this is a much bigger threat and a much bigger fight than it had to be.
Greg, for the people who don't understand, how a university exists by a federal charter? Donald Trump could literally put ICE agents, FBI agents, and the military on Howard University's campus. And in red states, he could literally put the National Guard on HBCU campuses, and the Republican governors are going to let them do it. See, all these black folk need to, see, they don't understand. They don't understand what we are dealing with. They don't understand you are dealing with an individual and the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon con man in chief Donald Trump, who has no morals, no values, no principles, no ethics, no integrity, no decency, and no honor. And a Republican Party that doesn't care, including the help, such as Tim Scott, Burgess Owens, Byron Donalds, Wesley Hunt, that Jones dude, who somebody told me is an alpha out of Michigan, they don't give a damn, and they not gonna say a word.
No, no, they're not going to stop. And neither are we. I think this is the history that gets buried far too often. We're not going to stop. Yes, just about everything Donald Trump has done is illegal. Ultimately, I think the courts are going to find that the majority of things Trump has done are illegal. But that's not the point right now. The point is to do it. This is the strategy of the miserable little nasty piece of work, Russell Vogt.
Yep.
You throw everything out there and you force the institutions to respond. Right now, this is the point. They're terrified, these white nationalists, because this is the death bleat of white nationalism. So in their desperation, they've thrown caution to the wind and any notion of the rule of law to win. You're absolutely right, of course, about Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't even have a concept of the rule of law. Donald Trump has one objective only, and this he shares with his friend, Bibi Netanyahu in Israel, to stay out of jail. That is the only, that's the number one strategy. Of course, the number one objective. Number two is try to make some money. And so far, he's been good on both fronts. But when it comes to the overplaying their hands by white nationalists like the people in Congress and others, they are now moving to a point where two things are going to happen. Number one, the courts are going to declare a lot of this illegal, so like occupying college campuses with the National Guard, like declaring states of emergency with no true authorizing principle in any of the statutes that they claim allow them to do it, and so forth. But the other thing that's going to happen, the other thing that's already begun to happen, is that people, regular rank and file people who are not political, who are not up to date on the news and not aware of all the issues at stake, will nevertheless begin to push back. We're beginning to see it in Chicago, Philadelphia, New York. We'll see it in Washington, D.C. as well. So then what you end up seeing is, in their desperation, these white nationalists have given us a roadmap to the very institutions that we have to now surround and use to fight back. it's one thing to try to extort Columbia and they escape extortion, to try to extort Brown University and they escape extortion, but paying a little bit of money. But then when you turn around and call yourself going to extort Harvard out of a $500 million, out of $500 million, and try to force them into putting some programs in place that mirror your vocational education view of the world, what you're doing generally is trying to attack higher education. Howard University does have a federal charter, it and Gallaudet University being the two that have them. Their chief interface is with the United States Congress. But in a moment when the United States Congress has been rendered supplicant by pliant GOP Congress people, that endangers Howard, that endangers Gallaudet, that endangers all institutions that receive federal financial aid for sure. But the pushback then to be, we elevate the ability to understand and explain what's going on. We force federal support. We intensify our protests, intensify our solidarity and support, and thereby reveal finally the weak points in white nationalism. A great deal of white nationalism is illusion. You're deploying 800 federal troops, federalized National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. to take pictures to try to communicate somehow that you've got muscle that you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Woe be the day that these punk-ass, fake courage punks with their face masks up roll into West Philly or the Bronx, roll into South L.A. or the South Side Chicago, and touch the right one. Now, of course, people say, well, then they're just going to deploy the military. Well, yeah, but that little cock rooster, Pete Hegseth, with all his little onward Christian soldier thugs that he's trying to put in place in senior management and then try to recruit an army of crusaders, well, you're not going to be you're not going to be able to do that quickly enough to displace the rank and file women and men who serve in the military, who you're going to try to then deputized to turn loose on the streets against their cousins and mothers. People think, well, they won't buck back, they won't fight orders. These white nationalists have to be very careful, because when they overplay their hand, what they're going to realize is the muscle they're trying to project to the rest of us that they don't have that muscle. I'm not saying that I know what's going to happen next, but I know that history has shown us that when fascists play their hand, the pushback generally leads to a better society than existed before they overplayed their hand. We just got to stay the course and continue to fight.
Reese, one of the reasons why people need to understand why Donald Trump is so desperate to hold on to the House, it's not just because they can run their game plan for bills. It's the House that certifies the 2020 election. See, we already know what they're setting up. Reese, right now, they are asking for the voter data of numerous states. Mm-hmm. And they want to know all the data. They are setting this thing up to where they can control the certification of the election. And in the case of a tie, the House decides who wins the presidency. Folk got to understand the long game. There's a reason why they are desperate. They ain't talking about, man, we got to make sure we keep the Senate. No, they are like, I need to change them. Charlie Kirk would put a tweet out blasting the Indiana governor and the Speaker of the House because they won't redistrict there. They are trying to grab every seat that they can because they fear Donald Trump's economic policies are going to cause them to lose. And they're like, man, can we guarantee 5 in Texas and Indiana and Missouri and some in Florida and Ohio? They are trying to find 10, 12, 15 seats because they think they're going to lose at least 15 next November.
And they normally would. Absolutely. I mean, the results are already fucked up. I mean, look at what's happening with inflation. Look at the jobs reports. Now they're going to not even report the jobs, which, by the way, the new statistician is a J6er. Okay. So they already know that when people feel like this government shit ain't working out for them, Donald Trump got his ass was booted last time, and the Republicans were booted last time. So they know that there are normally consequences for bad policies like what this bill is, a big, ugly bill and the fiscal year 2026 budget. The question is, does their version of the world exist in which they think that they can gerrymander and they can count on Latinos to stick with them, despite the fact that they folks, I know they're not monolithic, but that Latinos are getting their N-word wake-up call, that they're getting racial profile, and the good ones is finding their ass detained by, bye, see you later, or mistakenly deported, or in detainment camps dying. They're banking that them Latinos are still going to be like, well, I'm still close enough to whiteness where I'm going to stick with the Republicans. Or does the world in which Dr. Carr, bless you, Dr. Carr, I hope you're right, that this comes to a head to what you're talking about. Which one exists? That's the question I don't have the answer to. So far, the evidence has pointed to the world that Republicans believe that we live in, where disinformation and gerrymandering will solidify their rule long enough to keep cheating, lying, and stealing to stay in power. I genuinely don't know which one it is, but what I do know is that these policies are so bad that it's going to be inescapable for the vast majority of Americans. And there are going to be tens of millions of more people who have some kind of incentive, life or death incentive, to get out there and vote. The question is whether they do it or not.
And that's the point, Greg. And they want us, they want black people to be so frustrated, so upset, have so much discontent and so much anger that we don't vote. They want us turning. And see, when I call out black state reps, I'm actually trying to call them up. I ain't trying to call them out. I'm trying to call them up. I'm trying to fortify them, because what I need them to understand, when they fight, folks say, oh, you fighting for us. Now then they say, how can I get in the fight? But when people see folk capitulate, then their shoulders slump. See, folk don't mind losing a fight when you fight back. What people hate, Greg, is to see you lose a fight and you never swung one time.
That's right. Roland, that's right. I mean, brother, as as you walk through history consistently, as we think about these historical moments, the patterns are clear. The patterns are clear. You know, we were talking, you and I, a couple of days ago, word coming from Kentucky about the death of Rahman Ali, the only brother of Muhammad Ali, and the family is trying to raise money to pay for the funeral. It's really not a good situation. But Muhammad Ali comes to a man who was vilified, a man who was hated in America, but a man who was loved by black people. It's not coincidental that Muhammad Ali, who was in the Nation of Islam and then wasn't in the nation but remained hated, a man of principle, charismatic, a winner in all levels, an athlete, that he rose to prominence at a time when the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Power movement was at its peak in the mid to late 60s and through the 1970s, at a time when black movies and black entertainment, whether it be music, whether it be films, even comedies like Piece of the Action, Let's Do It Again, certainly projected a pro-black message, derisively and contrafactually, as far as I'm concerned, called blaxploitation films. Well, you know, what these convergences of pop culture politics help us understand is that, you know, let's just say, and I'm not saying that this will happen because I doubt that it will, but imagine if Meg out of Houston or Beyonce out of Houston made the call that you just made tonight and told those legislators to stay strong. I'm not saying that it would change the decision of some of the legislators who may return, but I am saying that it would send a message and people might look at it different, a little bit different than a political. I think that in an age, a heroic age, symbols do matter. The governor of Maryland, for example, has said, you're not coming to Maryland and federalizing the National Guard with my permission, sir.
And guess what happened?
The mayor of Chicago,
hold on. Guess what happened, Greg? Greg, hold on. Greg, I know there's a delay. Greg, hold on. There's a delay there, so hold on. And guess what happened today? Trump was going off in the Oval Office on Governor Wes Moore, because Wes Moore went on Fox News, he went on CNN, he went everywhere, and he said, unlike you, I put the uniform on. And then he's coming out, oh, he's not qualified to be POTUS. because he's scared of that black man. Greg, go ahead.
Yes, no, Roland, we're talking the same talk, brother. I love what Gavin Newsom is doing in trolling them, including now doing the all caps, roasting them in social media. But when you see black women and men do it, he hates Jasmine Crockett. Some of this is get her out of Congress.
100% true.
See, the governors now, I'm not just talking about Pritzker and yeah, I'm talking about what Wes Moore did exactly, and the mayors. You see, Mamdani wins this race in New York. Donald Trump, well, I don't know what could happen to him physiologically, because he's clear not only is he mentally ill, he is so steadily deteriorating at this point that he may not make it to the point where he can get animated enough to have some physiological reaction to a Mamdani victory. But the illusion is government over the rest of the president is a king, which is what Russell Vogt believes. The reality begins to emerge that at the state and local level, people hold considerable power. California can contract and make deals with foreign governments. They have huge billions of dollars of pension funds. If enough, or even if one or two of these key state and local level leaders exercises their authority and does it with the type of public-facing panache, charm, kind of captivating presence that a Muhammad Ali had in boxing or Meg Thee Stallion has in hip hop, but do it politically like a Wes Moore or a Governor Newsom of California, that has the potential to galvanize people in a way that could translate into some sense of finally somebody's fighting. Now I will get off the bench. So I think in some ways that leads to, if not hope, that leads to the signal that nothing is ever written in stone in history, and that things can change on a dime with something that people may not have anticipated. And I think that, again, is where we are right now. Somebody, and more than somebody, needs to step up. And when they do, we can see these political winds shift very quickly.
To the point Greg just made there, I don't know if many of y'all realize it. We had Adrienne Shropshire on this show, and she told us about Black PAC's poll. And she let it slip that in Black PAC's poll, that Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's approval rating among black people is on the same level as Obama. Now, they didn't want to start no mess, so they didn't release that slide. Because, see, that slide would have embarrassed a whole bunch of other black politicians who think that they are the bomb.com, and they really not. But it did slip. And see, to Greg's point, that's what Trump was afraid of. See, Reese made the point earlier about Representative Jelanda Jones. See, black folks are responding to fighters because that's our history.
Yes.
Robert Smalls, fighter.
That's right.
Representative White, fighter. Ida B. Wells Barnett, fighter. I mean, we can walk through Martin Delaney, fighter. Denmark Vesey, fighter. Oh, y'all gonna burn Mother Emanuel down? Damn that, we gonna rebuild it. Oh, y'all gonna burn Greenwood down? Yeah, we about to rebuild this. See, that's what they're afraid of. But I need the folk watching to understand they not afraid of weak and meek. Donald Trump in 2017 stood up and said to black people, thank you. Thank you for not voting. That should have sent the blood boiling of every single black person in this country, because the man was saying, y'all lazy ass bums who didn't vote, oh, I appreciate y'all for staying at home. He insulted the ancestors by doing it. And see, I know there's some people who sitting here saying, oh, that Gavin Newsom, he too slick. You know, he ain't got no shot. But he dropped he had a news conference today, and they dropped this ad right here. And I'm with on 100%. Roll it.
It is a 5-alarm fire for democracy in the United States of America. Donald Trump, who's trying to light a torch on democracy, continue to try to rig the election. His agenda is failing. This presidency is failing. He knows the headwinds in a midterm. Now he's dialing up for seats. He called Greg Abbott, who doesn't have the courage, doesn't have the conscience, and he has rolled over and he said, yes, sir, and. So we have got to step up. We tried to play by a higher set of standards and rules with our independent redistricting, and we believe in that. We are talking about emergency measures to respond to what's happening in Texas, and we will nullify what happens in Texas. We will pick up 5 seats with the consent of the people, and that's the difference between the approach we're taking and the approach they're taking. There are no rules for Donald Trump. And this is a serious moment in American history. And so we are here to meet this moment head on. We will not be complicit.
See, that's how you got to respond. See, that's how, see, you got to let them know. You want to swing, Reese? Let's swing.
Batter up. I know that's right. I support this version of Gavin Newsom. I didn't support him sitting down with Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and all them other people. But he got with the program. He realized, okay, this is a different ballgame that we dealing with, and it's not going to be winning over the MAGA-lites. They are a lost cause. And so I'll tip my hat. I give credit where credit is due. I'll tip my hat to what Governor Newsom is doing. He's out there trying to move the needle because the polling right now is not on his side when it comes to this independent commission. But unlike what Democrats normally do, which is be like, well, the polls say that they're not with it. Well, the focus group say they're not with it. Let's just change course. He's like, no, we're going to change minds. Republicans do that all the time. And that's about damn time that Democrats are figuring out that you got to start changing some minds from Democrats. Fuck the MAGA people. Get the Democrats to be like, look, if the Republicans don't get all the seats, we need to get all the seats we can over here. So this is exactly what we need to be doing. And I'm glad to see that he's not just saying, well, we have an independent commission. What can we do? Governor Kathy Hochul is saying the same thing. Like, look, our Constitution, maybe we got to change that shit. We already gerrymandered here in Maryland, so they ain't really too much for Governor Moore to do. But
No. You can pick up 1 or 2 in Maryland.
Okay, yeah, we can pick up 1 or 2, but I'm just saying that I was going to say that what else he's doing is he's pushing back on this whole National Guard activation, as so many people in the mainstream media are trying to normalize. Well, what is the problem with bringing out people just to patrol the subway?
Including some white progressives.
Including white progressives and the black conservatives or whoever those situation may be. And so we're seeing Democrats finally waking up to the fact that you have to win the narrative war. You have to push back. You have to activate the different levers that we have where we are in power to try to counter some of this stuff. But Roland, one point I did want to ask you about is, we talk so much about fighting and blood, sweat, and tears, and yet we see that Republicans get these gains without busting a grape. They fund think tanks. They fund all kinds of PACs. They fund universities. They fund every kind of organization under the sun. They lay out the plan. They stay on message. They execute. I'm curious to see, as the great work that you do here, you have the statistics in terms of how you moved up in the YouTube rankings. I think you're top 50, top 20,
40,
whatever the
top 40, number 40.
Top 40, okay. Where have you seen him? If you can tell us.
No.
Okay. Because I was going to say, the problem is on our side, we always got to do shit the hard way. As opposed to people being willing to invest in those that have credibility, those that already have an infrastructure, which Black Star Network does. And invest in these apparatuses. I figured I would aim.
Now, I've had a couple of people text, hey, well, I'm like, right? And see, here's the crazy thing that just trips me out. When you talk about that YouTube list, Go through it. Ain't no other of the black people on the list is one black conservative dude, and I think, frankly, first of all, I think his numbers are bullshit. I straight up, because you can't tell me you got a total of 805 videos on YouTube. We got 23,000 videos on YouTube, and then you're in the top 40, and you only have 15,000 Instagram followers. You only have 10,000 Twitter followers, and you only have 100,000 TikTok followers, but you in the top 30 on YouTube. Yeah, I ain't buying them numbers. That sounds like some Carlos Watson shit to me, but that's another story. But to your point, and I ain't gonna say the name, but you got one billionaire, multi-billionaire progressive, and a staffer said they scared. Yeah, she got. You know, I love watching the show Billions. Mm-hmm. And I was rewatching the other day. I went back. I don't know why I decided to go back and just watch the beginning of Billions. And I said, and I literally forgot why Bobby Axelrod and the U.S. Attorney, I forgot why they clashed. And so, like, in the first 2 episodes, Bobby, the billionaire, was gonna buy an $80 million house on the beach. And the U.S. Attorney said how bad it's gonna look, and told him, don't you buy the house. And then they went to Bobby and said, Bobby, it ain't gonna look good, you buying the house. You shouldn't buy the house. And then Bobby decided he wasn't gonna buy the house. And then the U.S. Attorney, played by Paul Giamatti, said to him, yeah, don't you buy that house. and Bobby said, you know, what's the point of having fuck you money if you never say fuck you? Here's the problem to your point, Reese. The black billionaires, the white billionaires, who got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 billion, they scared of Trump. The only one who ain't scared of Trump is George Soros. And here's the crazy part. George, the guy who used to be the top investor for George Soros, is Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary. So George Soros, he don't give a damn about them. But what you just said, Reese, is a bunch of these folks, they're scared. They're scared. I'm telling you right now, I was at the Black Women's Expo in Chicago. Massive number of sponsors who were there last year, not there this year. Mm-hmm. They came to Mary Green and said, could you take black out of the Black Women's Expo and just call it the Women's Expo? Straight up. Companies are scared. Greg made the point earlier, Harvard buckling. Donald Trump said, I am going to take the power of this office and I am going to attack every single institution and I am going to bring all of them to heel. And he says, I'm gonna attack academic, I'm gonna attack media. So Disney settles, CBS settles, they all settle, and now they're all scared. And I had to, and all this is happening, and you're sitting here going, well, damn, your ass got $5 billion, you got $10 billion, you got $20 billion, and you scared? And that's what's going on. And after all that talk, Reese, about, how we need to fund the infrastructure and we got beat this, that, and the other, silence. Silence. Crickets. Crickets. And I'm sitting, and I'm talking about, I go to all the institutions, labor institutions, all these other particular groups, and I'm just sitting here saying, okay, all right, let's see what y'all gonna do for 2026. And see, Reese, I done already made it clear. I done made it clear, Greg. If y'all think that I'm going to take a crumb and go, this is a great meal. I said, I will keep my black ass at home and do the show from the crib. Because you will not see me extend myself. Oh, I have an entire game plan. I have a whole game plan on how we can broadcast all across the country. There are 4 people right now who I have in my back pocket who I can hire to host 2 daily shows. I know exactly how much it's gonna cost to pay them. I know exactly, a couple of them, I haven't even approached them yet. I already have the exact plan. I have a plan in place right now that if we got a $5 million infusion annually for the next 3 years, I will hire 40 people. I already have the plan. But what I'm not going to do is overextend myself on the possibility of getting a check.
Right.
That's not gonna happen. That's not how we've remained profitable and kept our doors open and not had to lay off staff. But let me be real clear. Oh, we are ready to swing in 2026, but I've made it perfectly clear to black folks and white folks, don't think you're going to get me to leave this office and have my staff leave this office if you are going to put pennies on the table. Greg.
I mean, Roland, you just laid it out, brother. I think, and it's interesting, and I've said this before, the day after the 2016 election, when I was still responsible for the College of Arts and Sciences freshman seminar at Howard, we devoted our regular noon to 1 p.m. hour with over 1,000 first-year students at Howard. We opened the doors of Cranston Auditorium and invited everyone in to have an open conversation about what had happened, because this is a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds who had never been through something like this. What I reminded them of, and what my colleagues reminded them of, we had a panel of folks talk to them, is that it is in these moments that the heroes appear. Ida Bell Wells appeared not at a high point in African experiences in the United States, but during the nadir. This is the point where you see the heroic figures. Black Star Network is not going to bow or buckle. CBS has destroyed itself, and you know this better than I do, brother, because you're a businessman. The concept of goodwill in business doesn't have a dollar figure attached to the value of a business. It is the intangible character of the business that translates into value when you can rely on it. Ain't nobody checking for CBS now. What you did to yourself through 60 Minutes, look at ABC. It starts with George Stephanopoulos and a little bit of payment, and then it continues and trends forward. When you call yourself appeasing and bowing down by what you did to Stephen Colbert's CBS, and then you've got this religious zealotous clown, Brendan Carr, at the FCC, who's not satisfied. You got them, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, trying to swap out the PBS, this right-wing online curriculum development business. At the end of the day, the Black Star Network's strength is in its truth-telling capacity. As these things continue worse before they get better, more and more people will look to those places that they can rely on to tell the truth. Donald Trump was called the best friend by the person who's a convicted child rapist. He's my best friend. He's my best friend for 10 years. His henchwoman, who participated in these sex crimes, is now been moved to a minimum security prison, and clearly that they're lining it up for her in exchange for not opening her mouth to walk at some point. But one thing is clear. If you're going to report this in some kind of both-sidism, some kind of bizarre propping up of a madman, a convicted felon who fomented the worst case of violence in the history of Washington, D.C. on January the 6th, 2021, then you've lost all credibility. You call a spade. You tell the truth as you see it. You surround yourself with truth tellers and continue to ply forward. You don't have to worry about having to do the show from the crib. Because guess what? That's the thing where people say, if you touch this one, we've got something for you. This is a heroic age. And when we back, finally, however long that period is in the future, when we look back, we will see that the Black Star Network will be among those entities that rose to the occasion. And that's how you determine how you win. You don't determine how you win by who doesn't think you can win and makes deals. You determine who wins by who tells the truth and who is consistent. And that's how you move forward.
The other day, a friend of mine out of New York, prophetess Etna Johnson Sneed, I was talking to her, and she said, Roland, let me be clear, touch not my anointed. She said, when you know you are doing what God's will is, she said, I dare those to try to come after you because they're touching one of God's anointed. And see, there are a lot of our people who are afraid. Y'all, at the top of this show, y'all heard me vigorously push and prod and challenge my frat brother, Ron Reynolds, the chair emeritus of Texas Black Legislative Caucus. And see, when I was speaking about that, and people were asking me, somebody said, man, well, where all this come from? I said, it come from my grandparents, it come from my mama and daddy. I said, but it come from ancestors. And see, I think about that certain scene in Selma.
Yeah.
When Carmody Jogo, playing Coretta Scott King, was preparing to meet with Malcolm X and she was afraid. And then Lorraine Toussaint, who played the woman who called Dr. King to come to Selma. Amelia Boynton. When she had some words for her, and we're going to end the show with this because, see, I need every single one of y'all watching to listen to these words that Ava DuVernay wrote in that movie. And she should have forced the hand of that white writer to say, no, it's going to be a co-writing credit on this movie because he didn't write these words. I need everybody who's scared. I need everybody who's afraid. I need everybody who's unsure. I need everybody who's like, I don't know, man, I ain't like you. I don't know. I need you to listen to this because these words, and I was this way before the movie, but these are the words that resonate in my soul every single day. It causes me and others to say, no, we ain't backing down from this fight. I need y'all to listen to this.
I'll tell you what I know to be true. It helps me in times when I'm feeling unsure, if you'd like.
Please do, Ms. Boynton.
I know that we are descendants of a mighty people who gave civilization to the world. People who survived the hulls of slave ships across vast oceans. People who innovate and create and love despite pressures and tortures unimaginable. They are in our bloodstream, pumping our hearts every second. They've prepared you. You are already prepared.
That's it right there, Reese. We are already prepared for this fight. Your final comment and Greg's final comment.
That's it. We are prepared, but what we gonna do about it? That's the question. That's the question that everybody's banking on being nothing. Let's prove them wrong.
Greg, coming to us live from Egypt.
I echo Roland, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here with about 130 people from all over the United States and from the continent of Africa. A shout out to my man Yopareka Somé, one of the, if not the baddest Egyptologists on the African continent, who's come to us from Kenya. We're here for the very reason that we just heard Lorraine Toussaint portraying the great Amelia Boynton Robinson, what she said. We are the descendants of the people who gave the world civilization. In fact, we are the descendants from the people who gave the world people, the first people. Every person who ever walks this earth, no matter how crazy they have become, you came from the womb of an African woman if you trace it back far enough. This is light work, what we're facing right now. It doesn't mean it's not lethal. It doesn't mean it's not dangerous. It doesn't mean that it won't be easy. But it does mean that we've seen much worse. And that the worst that we've seen is in recent memory and recent history. All we have to do is remember, as Marcus Garvey said, what people have done, people can do. And remember that your people are the people that made people possible, that created everything, that laid the foundation for everything that will ever be on this little ball we call Earth, and that we can make the changes necessary to transform the society we live in. We've done it before, and we can and will do it again.
Folks, y'all have heard me on this show often reference my parents and the work that they did. And you've heard me talk about that. Earlier, I was in a chat. We were having this conversation. And I was saying to them repeatedly why this is personal to me. What did I say earlier? I'm 56 years old, 57 in November. 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 standing outside of election polls at the Clinton Park Recreation Center, handing out campaign material for whoever was running, who my mom and dad had told us we gonna hand stuff out for. I remember when my mama was the 3 citywide co-chairs of the Metropolitan Organization, a multi-faith organization in Houston. And I remember being on the bus with her going to the Austin, the state capitol, for a rally on a Saturday. I remember a mayoral debate in the gymnasium of a Catholic church. And Mama's on stage with the 2 mayoral candidates, and they're asking questions. They've been asking questions, and I'm in the back doing homework. See, I remember being at home with my brother and my 3 sisters, and Mama and Daddy were coming home late because they were running phone banks. I remember being a child and being careful about getting splinters in our hand from unloading campaign signs in the back of a wagon. So I need you to understand that for me, this battle is not about what makes me feel good or what makes my brother, my sister feel good. I need black people to understand that whether we are in Texas or North Carolina or Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi or Arkansas or Louisiana or Illinois or Missouri or Michigan or Wisconsin or California, in any of these states, that literally what we are doing right now has an impact on a black child that is yet to be born. So when the Polaroid revolutionary workers, when they were fighting against apartheid, y'all, I was 2. And it wasn't until I was in college when Nelson Mandela got released. These folks lost jobs. And when we're sitting here right now, talking about planning our next trip to Martha's Vineyard, going to Cannes in the south of France, talking about what our plans are for homecoming at HBCUs. I ain't got nothing against none of us having any fun whatsoever, but I take it back to what Harry Belafonte said when I sat with him. that he thought was going to be one of his. He literally said to me, he said, the reason I made it here, I didn't want to come. He said, because this is likely going to be my final interview. It wasn't. He didn't pass for several more years, but he actually thought it was. Because when it was over, we were talking privately. He said to me, Roland, I love the South of France. He said, but the reason I'm still here, because I am here to fight to make real what they put on paper, because this is also ours. And so I don't give a damn if those fascists are 2 blocks from right here. Somebody said to me, man, ain't you scared of the MAGA people? I said, we 2 blocks away. They know where we at. When I think back to that picture of that sister, when they had them bayonets, and she just moved that bayonet out the way. There's got to be something that black folks today give a damn about that is so real, that is so potent, that is so powerful, that they say, you know what, I got to block all that crap out because I got to fight for somebody I don't even know. I am a student of history, and I'm telling y'all what we are looking at right now is no different than what happened after Reconstruction in 1877. Don't take my word for it. Go do the work. Go look at how they invalidated the civil rights law passed in 1860s and the one in 1870s. Go back and understand Plessy versus Ferguson. Go back and understand the black laws. Go back and understand what took place. Go back and understand that 1890 Constitutional Convention in Mississippi where they said, oh no, it's too many niggas getting elected. Go back to understand when black people were a majority of the South Carolina legislature. Go back and look at what happened in Wilmington, North Carolina, when white fascists, not the KKK, but the red shirts, when they said, we are going to overthrow a democratically elected government, and they ran those black people out of that city. There is a direct connection between what happened then to what happens now. And when they say, let's make America great again, that is what they're talking about. They're talking about what happened in Wilmington. They're talking about what happened when they burned and bombed Tulsa. They're talking about when they bombed Ida B. Wells Barnett newspaper and put a bounty on her head. They're talking about every single, they call them race war, but it was actually a white supremacist war against our people. This is not the moment for us to check out. This is not the moment for us to rest. This is not the moment for us to be unwilling to challenge. This is the absolute moment when people have to be willing to mobilize and organize and be willing to stand up to these races, because it's more of us subconscious than them. But they've taken advantage of too many of us feeling deflated and defeated. That this moment you've got to make a decision which side your ass gonna be on. And if you are unwilling to engage in this battle, I have one simple request. Get your ass out of the way so we don't have to run you over. Because we are not satisfied with what is happening right now. And I'll be damned as long as there is breath in my mama and my daddy's body and my body and other people of conscience We're going to fight these folk to the end. And we will haunt their ass in death. Greg, thanks for joining us in Egypt. Reese, thanks for joining us as well. Folks, your support for this show is critical. I was literally sitting here. Y'all don't even understand why this is happening. I picked up last week. These are money orders. These are checks. These are more checks of folk who don't believe in Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, but they send money orders and checks. And I appreciate every single one. And I had to sit here and open the envelopes today. I had to sit here and sign the back of these envelopes. I got to take a picture of each one and deposit in. So it's going to take me some time to do so. So Etna Doggett, you sent me an email. I have your check. I know it was sent July 24th, but I told y'all when y'all send checks, y'all got to give us 2 months to process them because, y'all, it's a whole lot right here. And we've had folk out here who've been supporting us from day one, and we appreciate that. September 4th, we'll celebrate 7 years. You heard Reese ask the question, and yeah, we don't have billionaires and millionaires cutting us checks. And there's a whole bunch of millionaires and billionaires out there. Y'all say, man, what about those black folks? They do not send us checks. They do not send us direct deposits. They do not send us anything on PayPal, Zelle, Venmo. We exist because of regular, ordinary folk who believe in our mission. And so if you support this show, you support this network, if you support us speaking truth to power, if you support us being able to pay staff and being able to afford the rent on this place and the live view and all those different things, if you support all of that, we need your support. I didn't say we want your support. We need your support. Because there's no other black-owned media company that's doing what we're doing. Not one. There's no other black-owned media company that has a nightly news, digital news show. Not one. We've got 4 other shows. We're trying to launch new shows. So your support is critical. If you want to support us, first of all, Cash App, what did they do? They changed their rules. So if you want to support us via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. It's right here. Click the Cash App button and contribute. That's the QR code right there. You see it. If you hear us right now, go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com and you can access this. If you want to send a check or money order, if you don't believe in electronic stuff, we'll do that. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. That's how the bank account is set up. It's going to pay for all of our shows. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Y'all take a screenshot of this right now. Seriously, take a screenshot of this right now. And I want y'all to post, it's more than 4,000 of y'all on YouTube alone. I want y'all to post this on every single one of your social media channels. I've never asked y'all to do this. I want y'all to post this, take a screenshot right now. Post this on every one of y'all social media. Pull up the Cash App right now. I want y'all to take a screenshot of this as well. I'm gonna post both of these on my social media accounts. Y'all can grab that as well. Because I'm telling y'all, we are building something that's vital. Somebody says, Roland, take care of yourself. Y'all, I was on that treadmill today, 3.5 miles. We're going to keep doing that. I got a protein shake right here. I'm doing that right now. So you see it right here, so I'm trying to do that. But again, Cash App, use Stripe. You can use that QR code for credit cards as well. Take a screenshot, post it on social. Again, checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. If you have not downloaded the Black Star Network app, we want you to watch the show on YouTube because we generate more money there. We have the app as our backup in case anybody says we can't post our content. So download Black Star Network app on your iPhone, your Android phone, your Android TV, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. We want you to, of course, Get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Mind. Every dollar of that book goes into the show. You can get the audio version on Audible. I read it. Get that. If you want to support us with our swag, you want to get our shirts, all that sort of stuff, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. We got rid of the other company. We're not using Custom Spring anymore. We have a new partner with our products. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. To support the black-owned products you see on my set right here, all of these are black-owned products right here. And they're all on the website. You can go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to see all those products. If you don't forget our audio podcast, we're on all the platforms. We use iHeartRadio. They distribute it out to Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio as well. And don't forget, download the app Fan Base. We need to build up this black-owned social media app. I need all of y'all downloading this app. And if you want to invest, get more information at startengine.com/fanbase. Folks, again, I rock today purposely. This is the quote from Shirley Chisholm, unbought and unbossed. That's who we are. That's how we roll. We can win, but you cannot win a fight if you do not fight back. I'll see you tomorrow, right here on the Black Star Network.